Welcome to this episode of Aesthetics and Wellness by Dr Yusra. On this series, which is the Lessons from Leaders series, I have entrepreneur and founder of marketing agency Quirky Frog, Leanne Sykes. Today we've talked about female founders, entrepreneurship, the challenges of cultivating the right team, and some insights about the difficulties that we may be experiencing behind the scenes. And I hope this one empowers you if you're thinking about starting a business as well. Enjoy. Welcome to today's podcast. On today's podcast, I have the amazing Leanne Sykes, who is owner of Quirky Frog. This is a marketing agency and also, I would say, business coaching. You've been instrumental in supporting me throughout my kind of journey. And I'll be honest, although I've actually got an undergraduate degree in management of healthcare organizations and medical sciences and dental surgery, I find it really natural to be a healthcare professional, but really unnatural to be a business owner. And I think this episode is one from our latest series, which is the Lessons from Leaders. You're a leader, and there are so many difficulties and challenges being leaders of companies. And I want to really keep it real. I think this podcast is all about empowering the public, sharing knowledge, but also keeping it real. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about you. What's your background?
Well, my background is quite a journey, really. I went to university and did property management and investment. I had these dreams of being a surveyor. Then I had dreams of going into urban regeneration, and I was going to rebuild towns and cities, and my creativity kind of came from there. And then the crash happened. So I sidestepped, went working in debt recovery, worked my way up, and there was management in there. And it was just too good money to kind of leave. Mental health wise was such a detriment in that place. You know, you're on the phone all day long, you're speaking with a lot of negativity, and that can really, really affect you. And that's something that I've carried through to this day. Like, I don't like the negativity around. We like to nip negativity in the bud and create a positive environment. But whilst working in the debt recovery, I had the ability to effectively have half a day every day. Mm-hmm. So early shifts were 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. So I finished at 1, had the rest of the day. Following week was late, so it was 1 p.m. till 9 p.m. So I had all morning. So that kind of work hours has carried with me. I start at 7 a.m, quite often finish at 9 p.m. That's just a normal day's work to me. But it allowed me to then build a business with my husband, and we grew a semi-private personal training gym, online fitness coaching business, and that we just took that to new heights. So we've had that for 15 years now. It was through growing that business that I pretty much self-taught myself how to do the sales, do the marketing, do the admin, build the business, fail forward, build websites, create content, get in front of a camera, and lead a team of fitness professionals, but also lead a team of women who were training in the gym to help them get success. And it was through doing all of that, the one thing I didn't know how to do was get somebody into the media. I was like, Damien's a really good coach, and why is no one talking about him? So working with a friend of mine in PR, and it was during that journey that I realized that I really wanted to work with female entrepreneurs and women in business. And I found early on that there was a lot of women and a lot of business owners that didn't really have a clue about the fundamentals of your marketing, your business strategies, knowing your numbers, bringing everything together, and then ultimately also being a great leader and looking after your team, looking after the team around you and bringing that positivity around. So yeah, I went off to create Females in Power. That was short-lived because Rachel and I quite quickly set up Quirky Frog, and we had all of these dreams and aspirations of bringing both of our experience and skill set together. And yeah, fast forward 5 years, and now we specialise within medical aesthetics and work with a whole host of amazing women and businesses within the industry.
Wow. You're just amazing. I didn't even know all of that. What a superstar you are. So look, I'm not going to sugarcoat. You and I have shared our own vulnerabilities and stories along the way. And every single business owner that I have ever met, ever, has challenges.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest challenges is acquiring the right people around you. Mm-hmm. And I remember writing an article about female founders. There are so few female founders, although there's so many women in aesthetics. And I was on a women in business panel at I think it was Aesthetics, ACE, was
ACE,
it?
yeah, March.
And you've spoken so much about this as well. There's a lot of imposter syndrome, I think, that women have and hold. And also, I think, not much understanding of how to cultivate a team, of the importance of knowing your numbers. I, until today, struggle with knowing my numbers because I'm not numbers driven. I'm people driven. I turn up to work because I care about my patients. I want to deliver an amazing transformation aesthetically. And I kind of, the numbers are kind of in the background. I think take care of people and the the money looks after itself. But I don't think that's really a very good strategy if I was, business growth minded. And that's where kind of you come in and help and support. Talk to me about the importance of cultivating a right team and how do you go about that? Because I've kissed a few frogs. And that's not to say that they were the wrong people, but they were the wrong people in my team. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's kind to be clear and say, actually, I don't think that this is the right place for you because our value set, our work ethic, our ethos doesn't align and you're probably best suited elsewhere. I find that conversation really difficult to have. Talk to me about that, about cultivating a team. And I know there's no special secret sauce, but how have you managed that?
I would say cultivating a team and managing a team is probably, and looking after your staff and your employees is one of the hardest jobs in business for sure, because you're combining nurturing with empathy, and then you're also wanting to push people and challenge them. And it's how everybody is different and everybody has different personalities. Everybody has a different outtake on how you address them and how you speak with them. One person can be like, yes, she's so supportive. I loved how she taught me how to do that. The next person was like, she's really patronizing. She's trying to tell me how to do it. Yeah. And you have to remember as a leader that even though you always blame yourself, I do. I blame myself for everything. I look at what I've done. What have I done wrong? How can I change? How can I make this better? When in actual fact, it's ultimately a lot of people have to look at themselves and think about how they're developing their own personal well-being, how they're developing their mindset, their outtake on life. And it's very hard to find serious grafters. I think a lot of people, live paycheck to paycheck, but finding the right team that are so passionate about what they do, enjoy what they do, that's the secret sauce. But it's very difficult to find.
And so what happens if you notice that somebody doesn't fit in alignment with your team? How do you manage that? Because I'm like you. Yeah. I take it upon myself. And also my background is as a healthcare professional. So my mindset in the past was, can I help this person? Can I help change their mindset? Can I mold them? And there are some people who are coachable and you can guide and you can help them grow. But the prerequisite is to have growth mindsets. And not everybody has that. And I think sometimes when you are running a tight ship, like in my clinic, you've been there, you see how busy it is. Yeah. We have a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of patients that we're looking after. There's treatment plans that need to go out. And it really is important that we are efficient. And you can quite quickly see, one of my colleagues recently said to me, a new broom always sweeps clean, but over time you'll see the cracks. And in the past, I used to be like, oh, well, maybe I can seal those cracks and maybe I can mold these people. And I think you can absolutely give people a chance. But I think it's really important that if you notice that somebody isn't in alignment, you actually have that discussion sooner rather than later. And I don't think that's a bad thing running a tight ship. We always take responsibility because we've got growth mindset and because as leaders, we think the buck stops with us. And it's important to find people who will take responsibility for their actions because we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. And now the team that I have, thankfully, if something does go wrong, they say, it's my fault, I'm really sorry. But I've been in cases where it's blame, and not taking responsibility for their own actions. And then that becomes really difficult because there isn't growth mindset. There isn't that desire. So there's two ways to look at this. Either running a tight, efficient A team means that B players will level up to A players and C players will leave. Or, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so with all of that you say, I agree with it. And it's a case of we are all challenged through life. I mean, you've had your challenges. I've had mine. I've not always been an entrepreneur and an employee and a business leader. I've been an employee. I've worked for several different companies, and I've always adopted the same mindset of I want that constructive criticism. I want to grow. It's that growth mindset, and not everybody has it, as you said. So it's about how you take on that information. So if somebody at a leadership position or one of your managers or somebody who's got a little bit more experience or a lot more experience than you should be in an environment where everybody wants to grow together. And if you're being shown a way of how to improve that or how you can grow and take everything further, It's how you interpret that information and then what you do with it. Sometimes it's not always good. Sometimes you might feel a bit rejected at times, or you might feel a little bit, like it's a negativity on you and you think, am I not good enough? But it's about how you address that. If you feel at any point, I don't feel like I'm good enough for X. If that's something that you really want to do, get good at it. At one point I couldn't build a website. Today I can build a website. At one point I couldn't run Facebook ads or Google ads. Now I can do that. At one point I didn't have a clue how Instagram worked. Now I understand it like the back of my hand. So you can get better at anything that you want to get better in. It's just approaching it with that positive attitude, that can-do attitude, and just keep going until you keep going. And the other side of it is understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. When it comes to the paid advertising, I can do it. I know how to do it. I understand it. Do I want to do it? No. Yeah. So I have a team who do that for me, because it's just something that doesn't excite me. It doesn't drive me. Yeah. Whereas my other workload does. So I focus on the things that drive me. And that's what I encourage my team to do. We discuss clients together. We discuss tasks together. We discussed, okay, this new project's coming on. Who would like to work on this? I give people the opportunity to jump in with both feet at a task that they want to do that's going to shine a light on, is this something that they want to focus on and become a skilled expert in? Or is it something that they've tried and thought, writing, not really, copywriting, no, it's not for me. I love to be more the creative and the graphic side. No problem. You get more of the creative and graphic work. Those who love copywriting, yes, I'll do more blogs, I'll do more newsletters, and we craft that and we home in on it. So from there.
So when it comes to challenging stuff, I'm not talking about them being challenging, but us challenging them, as in pushing them.
Yeah.
And growth only exists outside of your comfort zone. I agree with you entirely. If you want to learn something, then you will. But not everybody has that mindset. And I've been an employee. I was an employee until 2017. I didn't have my own clinic in Liverpool anyway. And it was through great difficulty that I made that decision that I was going to work for myself, because I had experienced a really, I don't want to use the word unkind, but a boss who didn't lead with grace and compassion. And I found that really difficult because my personality is, and again, I think this is a healthcare background. You go into healthcare because you care about people. So your natural inclination is to be caring towards all people. And so when you are met with a lack of compassion or just coldness, maybe meanness, it was very traumatic. It was a very traumatic experience for me, and I made a decision to never be in that position again. And that's why I started my own clinic, because I thought, no, we're not in alignment in terms of our values, our ethos. I used to have, it was an aesthetic clinic, and patients would come in with overfilled lips, and I would turn them away because that is my value set, is I'm not going to do harm to a patient. And I would get in trouble for turning them away. And I would be told, no, it doesn't matter. Just do it anyway because it's money. So the value set wasn't in alignment. But now when I am hiring and when I am cultivating the culture within my team, I always try to lead with grace and compassion, which I know you do too. I've seen you. And as you said, some people have growth mindset, some people don't. What do you do then? What do you do if you have a B player who doesn't want to level up? It's a hard question.
It's understanding why don't they? Some people are quite content with where they're at right now, and I'm more than happy with that. If you are doing an excellent job, you're fulfilling the job role, the job specifications, and you're quite content with that, then that's fine. That's what's expected of you. And yeah, you've got some people that don't want to do more. And again, that's fine. If you don't want to do more, but you're doing your tasks
properly
to the best of your ability and to the skill set that needs to be done and warrants for that particular, whatever your career or whatever your job is, you need to do that to the standard that your employer or your business is being set out to be. Two people can create a graphic or two people can cut hair. You're going to find one's doing it better than the other. So it's about making sure that you are understanding that the career that you're in and the task and the job role that you're in suits where you want to be, and be happy with that. So if you have somebody who doesn't want to grow further, but they are really skilled and experienced with what they're doing, and they're doing a great job. Fine, nurture them, work with them, see if there's give them opportunities for that may arise that they haven't been given yet, and see where it could go.
I think culture is very important.
Yeah.
Whenever I start my Monday morning meetings, I always start off by reading out loud our mission statement. Our mission statement is to create radiance on the outside, wellness on the inside, because it drives our why and our collective mission. And it's really important that everyone's rowing the boat in the same direction. And I think as female founders, what I find sad sometimes is when I see people thinking that they have to lead, they have to change their characteristics. You know, as women, one of our superpowers is grace and compassion. And you can lead with grace and compassion, but it's really important that that is mutually extended and that there is a respect for the why, you know, and I think honesty, transparency is very important. Everyone has to row the boat in the same direction, particularly if you're dealing with people and you're holding, you know, you've got high standards and you need to ensure that everyone is working to those high standards. And I think the reality of cultivating a team is it takes time. I see a lot of entrepreneurs who say to me, I'm really struggling. And I said, that's normal. It's really normal to struggle. Staff can make or break you, and they're your biggest asset. When you find, you know, it's really important that you treat everyone the way that you would want to be treated and challenge them, push them to grow as well. And I think if you treat them well, then that comes back. But if there is somebody who isn't aligned, then I stand firm in my opinion that it's kind to be clear, and it's important to have those conversations sooner rather than later. Because as you and I were saying before the podcast, sometimes rotten apples can spread, and it's unfair on the rest of the team if somebody is negatively impacting that culture. And culture is so important. You want everyone to have growth mindset. You want everyone to come in and bring the right attitude to work and be committed to delivering the best that they possibly can. And not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur mindset. That's you need employees, you need people who actually, you know, Sophie's my right-hand lady, and she often says, I would never want your lifestyle. Because she sees my 24/7 graft. I don't want my lifestyle, for God's sake. I know how hard you work, and you work until really late. It's hard. It's relentless. We left 9-to-5 jobs to take on 24/7 jobs. Yeah. So it's not for everyone. And that's why it's important to know everyone's strengths and weaknesses, because you can work together and support each other and look after each other. But it's got to be a respect for the mission. Because if you don't have that value set and if you're not aligned on that mission, then you're not going to create the same outcome. You're not going to work towards the same outcome. I want to ask you about female founders, because I know that this is something that you're really passionate about as well. You're a female founder. You started this Female Empowers. I didn't even know about that. Tell me, why do you think that although there are so many women in the aesthetic field, why are there so few female founders?
Good question. I suppose confidence could be a massive part to play, and the risk factor that is involved by founding a company. You have the majority of women could be mothers, could be wives, and they may be putting themselves into a category where they're putting family first, and they don't want to take that risk factor on because they're keeping a house a home and they're looking after that. I'm really fortunate because I've got a super supportive husband who's also entrepreneurial, and together we've kind of grown from strength to strength. I've also come from a really supportive family. My parents were entrepreneurial, so I've kind of got that in me. And I think if you're around it, or you have the desire to do it, and you have a support network around you, you will go far, and you will be pushed into founding what it is that you want to do. But it ultimately comes down to time, effort, desire, and confidence, I would say.
I agree. As a mother of 3, you've seen the juggle. And when I say 24/7, it is 24/7 because you're on call for your patients and you're on call for your children. If your kids are sick, then you're on call. And that's how it should be, actually. That's your duty and role as a mother. And I always kind of struggle with that and finding the perfect balance. I don't think there is. I think it's a fallacy to say that there's a complete balance. And I don't think you can have it all, but I think you can do both. But you have to be very structured in your time management. And I think the overwhelming number one thing is passion. If you're passionate about bringing something that is unique, because otherwise, if I was comfortable in my previous job and I was able to deliver the work that I wanted to deliver, then I wouldn't really feel a need to go out and do something. But because I was in a situation where I couldn't do the work that I wanted to do, I couldn't put my stamp on and say, actually, I want to create radiance on the outside, wellness on the inside. I don't want to do lips for the sake of doing lips just because a patient asks. That environment doesn't align with my value set. Because that was missing in the environment, in Liverpool at the time, I really wanted to deliver natural looking aesthetics at a time where that wasn't really the goal or the norm. So I think that passion, that to bring something new to the market, and I think it's a responsibility of an entrepreneur to bring something new. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not innovative. Putting family first is totally understandable, and I wholly condone and understand and respect that. I think proximity is very important. You said that the people around you pushed you, had the same drive, same goals. I think proximity is really important. When it comes to partnership, I know you have a partner. I sometimes wish I have a life partner, but I don't have a business partner, which means the buck stops with me. Everything is down to me, from payroll to managing patients, to managing the stuff and the supervisions and the performance review, and everything is down to me. And that's a heavy load sometimes to carry.
Huge.
And I sometimes I wish I had a partner that I could say, listen, you deal with the numbers, because I'm not good at that. I recognize that that's not my strength. But I worry because I think in a partnership, even in a marriage, you're not always going to agree on things. How do you manage that?
With our partnership, it works seamlessly because we're yin and yang. We have strengths in different areas and we support each other on our weaknesses. So where I'm weak, she's strong. Where she's weak, I'm strong. And we're a team. And yes, you don't always agree. And absolutely, that's where the conversations come in. But in business, you don't always agree. You don't always agree with your clients. You don't always agree with your team. But certainly as a partnership, I'll come with one idea, Rachel will come with another, and then we compromise on it, or we understand what the points that each other's are raising, and then we go with what the best outcome would be for the situation that we're in. And yeah, but I could not do this without Rachel. I say it all the time. Literally, I do not know where I'd be without her, because she's the backbone for me and I'm the backbone for her. And yeah, it just works.
You support each other.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights. I think it's going to be really helpful to everyone thinking of starting a business. And if they want to find you, they can find you at Quirky Frog.
Thank you.
Thank you.